The G20 summit this year is going to be, well, awkward. Painfully awkward, in fact. Because when the time comes for South African President Cyril Ramaphosa to hand over the G20 presidency, he won't be handing it to a leader or even a delegation. He'll be handing it to an empty chair. And that chair is already becoming the image people will remember. This is Shubhangi Sharma and you're watching Fine Point. Let's dive in. US President Donald Trump is boycotting the G20 summit. But even if people want to ignore that decision, they cannot. Because the United States is the next G20 chair. And when South African President Cyril Ramaphosa hands over the presidency at the end of the summit, he won't be handing it over to a leader, not even a delegation. He'll be handing it to an empty chair. And that empty chair is about to become the most photographed object in Johannesburg. Washington says that it will not be attending the first ever G20 on African soil because South Africa mistreats its white minority, even claiming genocide of white Afrikaners, a claim that South African officials call unfounded. No previous US administration has used this narrative, and it fits very neatly into Trump's domestic political playbook. But beyond the excuse, this only confirms what we already suspect. Trump does not believe in multilateral diplomacy, and he's willing to stage this snub on the world's biggest economic platform. The United States has never skipped a G20 summit, mostly represented by the president or at least a high-level official. But this time, there will be no one representing the US. South Africa, though, is not rattled. Ramaphosa responded with remarkable calm and a subtle jab. Let me quote, "My experience in politics is that boycotts never really work. They have a very contradictory effect. Their absence is their loss." Moreover, South Africa's High Commissioner to India, Anil Suklal, says the G20 is simply too big to fail. Despite the US boycott, he insists that the summit will remain impactful, and Suklal made it clear. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's presence is especially important. He called the Indian Prime Minister one of the world's most influential leaders today, someone whose attendance signals solidarity with South Africa and commitment to global South priorities. That solidarity is real. India and South Africa have worked closely through the G20 cycle. They share concerns about debt relief, climate finance, and the need to amplify voices of emerging economies in global forums. The cooperation has been smooth, consistent, and productive, something South Africa is publicly acknowledging. And honestly, this summit is a missed opportunity for Trump. It could have been remembered for all the right reasons. The first G20 in Africa, a platform to spotlight the continent's fast-growing economies, its young population, its mineral wealth essential for the green transition, and the urgent need for fairer global financial systems. Instead, a different story is writing itself. It is dominated by who isn't coming. Trump isn't coming, but also his close ally Argentina's Javier Milei is also skipping the event. Vladimir Putin remains absent due to the ICC arrest warrant. China is sending its premier instead of Xi Jinping. And together, these absences underscore just how fractured the world is right now. But amid all this fragmentation, India's role stands out even more sharply. Remember what New Delhi delivered in 2023. India didn't just host a successful G20 summit in a tense geopolitical climate, it pushed through the historic inclusion of the 55-nation African Union as a permanent G20 member. A single move that gave an entire continent a stronger, permanent voice in global decision-making. That achievement has become the benchmark for responsible leadership in the G20, and the contrast with Trump's boycott could not be more obvious. The G20 accounts for about 85% of global GDP, nearly about 75% of world trade, and roughly 2/3 of the world's population. It cannot be ignored. So when Ramaphosa stands on the stage in Soweto, a township in Johannesburg marked by the struggle against apartheid, and turns to hand over the G20 presidency, the image will be awkward. On one side, the leader of Africa's most industrialized nation, and on the other, an empty chair representing the world's most powerful country. Yes, the moment will be embarrassing, but it also will be telling. Because while some leaders are choosing to walk away amid Trump's public snub to Africa, India is choosing to show up. And while some are undermining multilateral platforms, India is strengthening them.